the Stone Wars did not end anything like I would have thought in my head. Hey everybody, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Shinry. Here at the Everything Anime Podcast, talk about everything from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and whatever relevant topic we feel like talking about. Today's video is on Dr. Stone, chapters 74 to 78. I'm calling it the end of the Stone Wars. It might not actually be the end of the Stone Wars, but it's at least the end of the battle between Senku and Tsukasa, and we'll get to why at the very end. So, Yukio has become my second favorite character in Dr. Stone. Chrome is number one because I loved his whole I'm the scientist of this age deal, his thinking, the way he goes about things, and the prison break chapter was fucking awesome. Then we meet Yukio, who is a character that has super hearing because he was a sonar detector, or one of the people that detects sonars on a submarine for the Navy. And he got used to hearing sounds that are far away and very low decibel. And we now know he's fully on our side because he says he won't write us out to Tsukasa's army. He's like, I'm all in. But the reason why we know this is for sure is because he also says, I'll only join your side if we agree on killing nobody. I want no bloodshed in this war. And everybody has been that way. Senku was that way. Chrome was that way. Taiju was that way. Everybody on the Kingdom of Science wants to save all of humanity. They don't want any bloodshed. We don't know about Tsukasa's army, but we know Tsukasa's army only save those that they think are worthy and strong, and will destroy those people. And there's a reason, and that brings us back to Yukio. Why would Yukio join the side of Tsukasa if Tsukasa just kills all these stone people that are frozen? Well, Yukio tells us in his mind, he thought the people that were trapped in rock, you were just gone, you were just dead. Because until the revival fluid hits you, you're basically in suspended animation anyway. You're in limbo. So if nobody saves you, you're technically dead. So Yukio, he kind of fooled himself into thinking as long as they're frozen in rock and Tsukasa destroys them, it doesn't matter, they're already dead anyway. So he was trying to basically kind of give himself a morality thing, I'm on Tsukasa's side because he let me live, he revived me, also I don't want to die, and then 3, these people are technically in limbo, they're technically dead because I could have been one of them too. So if I would have been in rock and he killed me, I would have known, and I would have just been I'm dead, or you would have thought you died 3,000 years ago, or you were just sleeping for 3,000 years. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Yukio, he's so dope, and he gets better this chapter. He gets so much better. We then flip over Tsukasa going to visit a grave. It's Senku's grave, because I was confused about, for a second, why he'd go visit Senku, but I guess, that was his rival. But he actually wanted to visit somebody else. So everybody that died on that mountain where... So remember when Hyoga and Homura's army brought the war to Ishigami Village? They chased... Sukiya led them away by chasing them to that mountain where that poison gas was. That poison gas turns to a beautiful lady, but then the closer you get, she turns into death. Sukiya, when she ran up that tree, and then I think it was Kohaku that made it to her and put a poison gas mask on her. Hyoga and Homura and their army followed her to capture Sukiya, but they realized that the gas was poison. Hyoga and Homura saved themselves, and the army was following them up, but because Hyoga didn't want to die, neither did Homura, Hyoga sacrificed his men so the tree wouldn't fall, and they all got poisoned and died. So we get to see a side of humanity from Tsukasa. He's visiting the grave for all the fallen warriors that died. Now, we also get a flash over to Yo. It's a mini little flash. I wouldn't even call it a flashback. It's just a flash. I mean, it's a flashback because it can't be a flash forward. It's a flashback to Yo after Chrome escaped. He gave a piece of his eye to one of his subordinates. He's like, hey, give this to Tsukasa and tell him I died or whatever, or I fell off the waterfall. And he's because he's I'm not gonna go back there until Tsukasa Chrome got away. It's not gonna happen. Just tell him I died valiantly in battle. That was pretty funny. Now again, Tsukasa doesn't know that Hyoga is the one that killed his men to save himself. So we don't know what's going to happen with that yet. I didn't even know what's going to happen to that yet, but I figured if Tsukasa ever found out Hyoga killed his men, they'd have like some tension between each other. Also, side note, our tank is finished, and Senku is very happy about it. It looks like a fully formed tank. Obviously, we know it's paper mache, but it's coated in that reinforced, whatever we called it. Again, I'm not a science major, but it gives like a reinforced like plastic that like, you know, or reinforced glue. I think it was plastic, reinforced plastic, what they use on cars. So if they get attacked with the spear, it's gonna destroy itself. But they also have another use for this. So I was curious how they were going to implement this. Dr. Stone plans to fire a single shot of paper out of the cannon. It's going to make the sound like a cannonball firing. They go into better description about it, but basically, however this cannon's going to fire, it's going to like, I think it does still make an explosion because like the force that's going to be blown out, but I forgot how to explain it. Basically, like, this is going to release a blast from a cannon, and it's going to make them think, like, you know, oh gosh, these guys got like cannonballs too. And they're hoping like this scares Tsukasa's army into like fleeing, like that way there's no bloodshed. Like they're not gonna aim the cannonball at them, they're gonna aim it like at the nitrocytic cave above them, just like to attack the cave. Because whoever controls the cave controls the war. Like if you control the nitrocytic acid, you can control who comes back, when they come back, and if you can save everybody, which is what the Kingdom of Science wants, to bring back everybody, whereas Tsukasa's army is trying to bring back select few people. So they're hoping to fire this cannonball just above the army to scare them, like, hey, we got more rounds. And the reason why they can't fire it more than once, because if they fire more than one cannonball, the whole thing will fall apart. Like, it's only strong enough to fire one single shot. And the most amazing part of this chapter has not even come yet. Like, that's one cool thing, but that's not the most amazing part. Then Taiju and Yuzu meet Senku again for the first time in a year. And it's a very sweet moment because, you know, you can see Taiju really happy. He's crying and he goes to hug Senku, but Senku kind of dodges him and he goes to shake hands with Yuzu. I thought that was funny because we know, like, when Senku's father was going to say, like, I missed you, but he stopped himself. He's like, oh, I know you don't care about that sentimentality stuff. It fits Senku's, like, personality, but it also fits Taiju. Like, he misses his best friend and then Senku just dodges him to go shake hands with his girlfriend. Very funny. But I'm pretty sure Senku missed his friend too. But yeah, I thought that was funny. Back with Tsukasa, however, he prepares to bury Yo's mask inside the grave, like he's gonna bury it. But as he's like digging up the grave, he discovers the hidden cell phone on Senku's grave. Now this was epic as fuck. The way this is drawn, like Tsukasa's expression, like this like intensity, this author like really put a lot of detail to it. Like, I really want to see this in the anime. At some point when I finish this manga, I'm gonna watch the anime from start to finish. It looks so fucking dope how like angry you can tell Tsukasa is, and he yanks out the cell phone from the ground and it hurls into the air, and he now knows Senku is alive. Either Senku's not dead, or, well, no, because only Senku could create something like this. So he knows Senku's alive. So it was just so fucking cool, man. I'm telling you, if you read this for the first time like me, that shit gave me chills the way Senku looked. And so then we head over to the final battlefield. Now, after for the first, and as we hit to the battlefield, the first shot is fired from the cannonball. And I thought this was a breathtaking end to the chapter, but we're not going to end here. But it was, like, really dope because we know Tsukasa's coming. Like, if I was reading this weekly, I would be excited as fuck for the next week's chapter. But I thought it was just, like, I'm going to show that panel because I thought it was just, like, an epic end for, like, a chapter. Now, what follows is you have to read it for yourself in the anime or manga. You have to read it for yourself in the manga or watch it in the anime because Dr. Stone tells us, like, the human brain only has 20 seconds after, like, a certain event, like a shocking event, to either retreat or fight. And so what he says is, like, we have 20 seconds to take down Tsukasa's army after we fire this cannonball. Like, after 20 seconds, they're either going to run for their lives because they know we have cannonballs, or they're going to fight back. In those 20 seconds of shock, we need to take them down. And I can't even show or say everything that happens in all 20 of these panels in one sitting because it's a lot. Like every second they're doing something, and it seems impossible. They'd have to be moving like the Flash to do what they did in 20 seconds. But it's anime, so you just gotta go with it. But it's fun and very clever how they took down Tsukasa's army with no fatalities. So again, read the manga for that 20 seconds thing that happened, the 20 panels for 20 seconds, or watch the anime and see how they did in 20 seconds, but it's very cool. Now, you might think it's all over because Senku took down Tsukasa's army and they're in control of the nitrocissic acid now, or the nitrocissic, we call it the Miracle Cave. They have control of the Miracle Cave. But because we know Hyoga and Tsukasa are coming, because Tsukasa knows about the cell phone, we know he won the battle, but he ain't win the war. And in fact, they're already here. And now they know Yukio's a traitor as well, because the first person they take down is Yukio. Like, they elbow him and they're like, get the fuck out the way, bitch. And I was just like, oh my god, Yukio, no, my dude. Now, Hyoga and Tsukasa ride together, and no one in the Kingdom of Science, even Magma, can take them both on at the same time. They're like, if they were by themselves, if it was just Tsukasa, with Magma, with Kohaku, with Renko, and all of us, we might be able to take one of them down. We might be able to take Hyoga down. But both of them together, that's the ultimate duo. That's the ultimate fighting pair. Like, they are perfect. And, I gotta say, Tsukasa is intimidating in these panels. Tsukasa and Hyoga, their poses are fucking incredible. Dr. Stone, I'm shaking your hand. Whoever wrote this manga, you are an incredible artist. Senku, however, has a cool head, even in the threat of his most dangerous foe. Like, Senku and Tsukasa just like, oh, Senku, you're alive. And Senku's like, yeah, I'm back from the dead. Just like, again, this is their rivalry. This is their banter. Now, it's also quickly revealed that Lillian is dead and that Gen was impersonating her the entire time. This is said by Hyoga in front of Tsukasa's army, so they're like, no one in America's waiting for them. Like, no one else has been revived. This is just another one of Senku's plan. He planted the cell phone, things like that. And he shows the cell phone they found, and Tsukasa's army's like, what? They're fucking liars. So now they're pissed. They're back to, like, ready to fight. They're no longer wanting to retreat, despite having seen the cannonball fired from the tank. And the tank isn't going to play anymore into this at all anyway. Now, the tide of battle completely turned against the Kingdom of Science here, because Tsukasa's army, they're back ready to fight. And you've got Tsukasa and Hyoga here, the two strongest fighters in the Kingdom of Stone. So, yeah. The tides are in their favor right now. They try to convince Senku that if he hands himself over, they'll spare everybody else's lives. They're like, Senku, that offer still stands, man. You're willing to sacrifice your life to save these people? We'll let the rest of them go. And Senku responds with, the last time you fought me, I was alone. But now I have the power of my friends.
How will you fight without a weapon?
I know now I don't need the Keyblade. I've got a better weapon. My heart!
Your heart? What good will that weak little thing do for you?
Although my heart may be weak, it's not alone. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. I've become part of their heart just as they've become a part of mine. And if they think of me now and then, if they don't forget me, then our hearts will be one. I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
He doesn't literally say that, but he's like, the last time we fought me, Tsukasa, I was by myself. Because you gotta remember, Taiju and Yuzu weren't there. They showed up after Senku died. But this is the first time Senku's facing Tsukasa with all his friends with them. So, my friends are my power, pretty much. But I like it, though. Now we're in an extreme race against time. Kohaku and the others have to stall Hyoga and Tsukasa, while Dr. Stone and Chrome and again try to work together to find a desperate way out of the situation. So like Kohaku's like, Senku, look, if anybody can get us out of this, it's you. You and Chrome, go do whatever you got to do. We will stall Tsukasa and Hyoga somehow, some way. Like, we don't know how yet, but we're going to try. So we flash into the cave. Inside, Senku begins using everything in the cave he can to create something that he isn't even sure what he can create yet. Meanwhile, Chrome is like, as we know, Chrome, he's better with intuition. Chrome's like, I'm going to go follow. I saw something on the battlefield that we could use. I don't know what it is, but I know something inside my head is telling me something out here can help us. So the group kind of splits off, or Chrome and So we have Chrome looking outside the cave, Gen and Senku inside the cave, and then we have the Kingdom of Science versus Hyoga and Tsukasa outside, with Tsukasa's army also out there as well. So it's a massive war going on. Now, even though they're doing everything they can to combat Tsukasa and Hyoga, they appeared, like I said, the perfect tag team partner. Okay, so for one point, Hyoga is spinning his spear around like, Link, like Link's ultimate move and like Smash Brothers Melee to like clear a field around you. Above him, like flipped upside down in midair, and you think he's an easy target. They're like, hey, there's nothing Tsukasa can do in midair. Like a midair opponent can't dodge. Like they're stuck in the air. But they underestimate Tsukasa because they try to do something to Tsukasa and Tsukasa immediately counters them. Like he aerial counters them. It's pretty fucking dope. Again, in the manga, can't wait to see it in the anime, but in the manga, dope as fuck. Now, I'm curious to see what they come up with because like all this stalling we're doing, what can they do? And they barely survive with luck because Nikki, Magma, and I think Rinko try to guard against when Tsukasa aerial counters them, they do like this, like not literally like in Hunter x Hunter, but like when Gon, Killua, and Hisoka try to stop that dodgeball from that one guy.
久々にいい感じだぜ。ボールを上に。まさかあれはバレーのスパイク。おい、あっち。おお。あれはまさに合体。分かったぞ、お前らの狙い。果たしてどちらが勝つか。勝負。
レイザーのボールをゴンが止め、ヒソカが追い、キルアが支える。
Like they were training with Nen. It's kind of like that. Like I'm gonna show a scene from that. But Nikki's in front, then is Magma, and then is Rinko, and they're trying to like stop. They're trying to stop Tsukasa's spear with like a shield, and like he knocks all three of them back. Now we know Nikki's strong as fuck. She's the strongest woman. Magma's the strongest guy in the Kingdom of Science, and then Rinko is second to that, and he took all three of them down in one go. So that just tells you, like, Tsukasa, if he can take down those three, Tsukasa can take down all of them. Now, as the fight goes on, he even at one point acknowledges Kenro's strength. He's like, if you want to join the Kingdom of Stone, I'm more than willing to take you. Like, you're strong. He ain't said it to Magma. I know he probably think Magma's strong, but he's like Rinko, which is a very good, or Kenro. That's a very good compliment if it's coming from Tsukasa. He's like, I want to kill you, but like I might have to spare you. Meanwhile, Kohaku goes to fight one-on-one with Hyoga, which I thought was pretty cool, because that means Kohaku is relevant to Hyoga, and Hyoga is relevant to Tsukasa. Not saying she's on the same level, but she tries to take him on herself. Tsukasa immediately fights forward with everybody, though, with the next panel, so the hype was over. Like I said, he's OP as fuck. Meanwhile, Senku and Gan panic as they run low on ideas in the cave. He says that they need the poison gas from the mountain, but there's no way they can possibly get that. And that's, of course, when Chrome shows up holding a bottle of that poisonous gas. How he got it, he says he found it on the battlefield somewhere, but he comes with it. And they combine their ingredients together to make soap. Dr. Stone's first invention in the series, and one he made in front of Tsukasa, he says it's going to end this war. Now, how soap was going to end this war, I had no idea. But it's Dr. Stone, so we're going to figure it out together. That's what I thought. That's what I put in my notes. Now, meanwhile, so outside, even though the Kingdom of Science is losing, Kohaku tells them, like, hey, we're not going to lose hope because we're putting all of our faith into Senku and Chrome and Gen. We know that they'll get us out of this. They've gotten us out of worse situations. We're going to get out of this by believing in our friends. And we're buying time for Senku, and that's exactly what he needs because we believe in him. Which, again, the power of friendship, but I loved it. I went with it. And so what did Senku, Chrome, and Gen end up making with soap to end the war? Dynamite. They said, well, nitroglycerin, which is the element needed to create dynamite. And I was like, well, how are they going to get this to the battlefield discreetly and quickly? And you'll never guess how they do it. Gen builds a paper plane. Yeah, you know those paper planes that we met in class and you throw them? Yeah, they make those kind of paper planes. And they literally show you how to do it too, like to make the perfect paper plane. And they add a drop of nitroglycerin to the tip of it. And then they just chuck it. And it flies harmlessly over the army. And they're just all looking up at it like, is that a paper plane? Before it like hits the top of a tree and creates a massive explosion. It blew my mind how creative and funny that was. It blew my mind. So now the next panel looks really cool, and I just want to show this off. The way the author shows the impact of the explosion, it's just as exciting as when Tsukasa found the cell phone. It's that cool. And then we see Gen, Senku, Chrome holding several more paper planes, threatening to throw them. They're like, hey, if we toss these, y'all army is dead. And they could be bluffing or they could be telling the truth because, I think they were bluffing. But I remember seeing that, thinking they were bluffing because I was like, even if you don't have more nitroglycerin, the fear that you put in their heads, just like with the cannonball, from the single shot from the tank with the cannonball, you make them think you have more, which is enough to scare them. And of course, even though they're bluffing, they don't plan to kill anybody with the dynamite anyway. So that's kind of why you should know they're bluffing, because the Kingdom of Science doesn't want to kill anybody. They want to end this war without any bloodshed. Now, some of them still plan to boldly attack. They're like, there's no way you're going to hit us all with that paper plane. Like, they're like, that thing is going to fly so hard. Because one, like I said, they are watching this paper plane fly harmlessly over their heads. Like, it's slow and it's enough. You have enough time to dodge out of the way. So that's why they're like, oh, we'll just dodge those things and we'll take you down before you can throw more of the paper planes. That's when, again, my second favorite character, this is where Yo gets this cool-ass moment. He jumps up holding an arrow, and he's like, well, what about an arrow laced with dynamite? And you know I won't miss. Fucking epic. Yukio is epic. Yukio is bluffing too, but it's epic because he's like, oh, now I know y'all aren't going to attack. Because if you are scared of nitroglycerin slash dynamite before, you're going to be scared of it now because I have a dynamite arrow. Dope as fuck. I gotta take a little bit of break, but we'll be right back. We then get a glance of Hyoga's mouth, which I was not expecting. It's got cracks and shit, like maybe that's where like the stone hit his face. But yeah, he looks like psychotic to me. But I like the design of it. I'm gonna make sure I show that off. Now we then get a standoff. Like, how is this war gonna end? Because Senku knows that Tsukasa's not want to risk his men being killed by the dynamite, whereas like Tsukasa also knows Senku's not going to kill anybody because he doesn't want, the Kingdom of Science doesn't want any bloodshed. So they're at a standoff, and that's what impressed Hyoga. Hyoga's like, oh, you backed us all into a corner, you put us in a standoff, so what do we do? So they come to a deal. Well, what's the deal? Senku says, Tsukasa, what do you want? What is your true intent behind this? Like, what have you wanted 3,000 years ago? You got all this money and power, but you did nothing with it. Like, you were known as the strongest human in the world. Well, 3,000 years ago, he wanted to save his sister. His sister was sick, and she was determined to be brain dead by doctors. And Tsukasa was doing all these boxing matches, getting all the celebrity status just to get enough money to, like, do a treatment from the doctors to save his sister, which I thought was really cool. That really humanizes Tsukasa, this man that we know like just kill people because they were weak and things like that. It turns out that the sister, so Senku believes he might be able to save her, however, with the revival fluid, the nitrocytic acid. It's a chance, though, and he can't make any promises to Tsukasa, but if it works, she'll be okay. Like, he's like, I don't know if this will save you for sure, but that one time you killed me, what saved me was the rock in the back of my neck. When we put that nitrocytic acid on it, I'm going to just call it the miracle fluid. We put the miracle fluid on it. It revived my neck and saved me. And so, this is a fascinating reveal because, like I said, Tsukasa is known to just be a brute force enemy. He's known to be like an evil antagonist, and this humanizing him, it kind of like, I mean, yeah, basically it humanizes him and like makes us want to care for him. But and it's a great way to end the war, so I do love it, because I was curious how like Senku would end this war against Tsukasa, because I was like, Tsukasa's not just gonna give up. He's not just gonna do that. But then I thought, like, why would Tsukasa agree if he already has a revival fluid? Well, that's when you have to remember Senku hilariously took control of the miracle fluid when he took down Tsukasa's army. That's what the first thing he went after. And he's so cool with it. He's like, oh yeah, Tsukasa, how are you gonna save your sister about the miracle fluid? Oh, that's right, I have it. And Kohaku calls him a sleazebag. Like, yeah, we know. I'm sorry, there's something trying to crawl on my food. Kohaku knows like Tsukasa is evil. This is the only way to stop him. But she's like, the fact that you're taunting him with his sister that's been clinically brain dead for 3,000 years over his head, like, that's kind of evil. But it fits Senku's character. And Tsukasa's like, okay, we saved my sister. What do you want in return? And Senku's like, a ceasefire. We just end this war between us. No more killing. No more bloodshed. And in the end, Tsukasa agrees. This was a very cool ending to the Stone Wars, and I'm glad I finished this all in one go. But we're not done yet. I got a few more notes. But that's what I had in my notes, is that I'm glad I finished this all in one go. So together they head to the location where Tsukasa's sister's hospital once was. Though, of course, it's been 3,000 years, so there's no building there. There's nothing there. But they know that her body could be in this area. Some people even assume like they could have drifted off because of the ocean or like the way the earth has been growing for 3,000 years. So they're like, well, how are we going to find her under all this like rubble and rock? And that's when Senku offers to use some dynamite to explode the ground and find the bodies. And then Gen's like, well, again, our insert character is like, well, what if the body is beneath the ground and the dynamite destroys it and like causes it to like explode into pieces? Because I was thinking that too. I was like, well, you can use the dynamite to save them if they are underground, all these bodies, but you might risk destroying those bodies too. And that's when Senku's like, oh yeah, it's a good thing that we have somebody that's willing to painstakingly glue all those bodies back together. Of course, being Yuzu, who we know from the previous chapter that turned Yukio. She's like, how dare you? You know I'm going to be the one that's going to be tasked with that. And Senku just ignores her. But again, that fits Senku's personality. That's his character. But I loved it. Also, as they begin, we get a quick history lesson here about the man who created dynamite and how it helped with like massive scientific achievements. His name was Alfred Nobel, and they created the Nobel Prize because of him. So that was a cool history lesson. I never knew that. I never knew it because of Alfred Nobel. That's where the Nobel Prize name came from, because he created dynamite, along with other massive achievements, but like this was one of his biggest ones. So that was pretty cool, because again, Dr. Stone is a manga / anime that can teach your kids things and stuff like that about like history and science, but in a fun way. So that's great. Now, the great way this war really ends is that as Tsukasa is digging up his sister buried in rubble, he finds her in perfect condition. Like, she's not cracked, anything like that. She's just like sleeping on a rock. And they begin to use a revival fluid on her, and my first note is this is the first time the others in Ishigami Village have seen her in perfect, like seen somebody brought back with the miracle fluid. So this is the first time they're seeing it for themselves. Tsukasa's army has seen it, of course, because they've been in control of the miracle fluid, but like Ishigami Village have only heard about it. Now, and of course it works, and Tsukasa's sister is revived, which is great. We love that. It's a very heartwarming reunion. I love seeing Tsukasa, this tyrant, break down and be humanized. And, you know, he hugs his sister. He's so happy. But then something terrible is going to happen. And I knew something terrible would happen. But before that, it mirrors Kohaku, who did the same for her sister Ruri, carrying the jug of water every day. Like, Ruri, the shamaness, was sick because she had pneumonia. And, of course, Dr. Stone came and, like, you know, created the antibiotics and stuff like that. But yeah, bringing water to somebody when they're sick with pneumonia, you know, you need water in your body to stay healthy and strong. So, you know, that's why Kohaku did that. Not even knowing that that was helping her sister, but it was helping her sister. Elsewhere, Chrome noticed that a stick of dynamite has gone missing, and he like questions, Chrome notices that a stick of dynamite's gone missing, and he questioned, and Senku's like, well, maybe you dropped it somewhere. And Chrome's like, no, I'm pretty intuitive on everything. Like, I know, I would have known if a stick of dynamite had dropped or something like that. And Yukio chimes in. He's like, well, I would have heard if somebody had like stole a stick of dynamite. So whoever did this was like very precise. They had excellent covert skills to have dodged my super hearing. So I knew that was going to come into play. Like somebody stole a stick of dynamite. We just know who. And I immediately thought Hyoga, but like I was like, Hyoga would be too obvious. This instantly turned out to be where we get a flashback character come back. So we know that Homura was captured by Senku's army, or I wouldn't call them army, the Kingdom of Science at one point, and they brought her with them as their captive. So we remember Yo, who escaped, and he ran away for his life. Well, we get a flashback of Yo again. Yo was trying to recapture Chrome and bring him back to Tsukasa to get back in his good graces. But instead of finding Chrome, he found Homura, and he saved her. But before he saves her, she tells him like, "Hey, Hyoga has a plan that's gonna change this whole war around." And we know that she's more loyal to Hyoga because when she was going to fall to her death when they had cut down that tree, that's the first person she had thought of. And she tells him like, he's got a plan and you're going to help me execute it. And now the two plans the steps to this plan are: one, seal out the miracle cave with somehow, and they use the dynamite. That's what they stole the dynamite for, to seal off the cave. Second, they're gonna kill Tsukasa by having him drop his guard the moment he saved his sister, because Hyoga is the only person that's strong enough to take on Tsukasa. Like, they're rivals, but he's not strong enough to take down Hyoga. He's not strong enough to take down Tsukasa face to face because they're evenly matched, or Tsukasa might be a little bit stronger than him. So the only way to kill Tsukasa, the only way Hyoga could do that, was if Tsukasa dropped his guard for even a moment. And of course, he knew the moment that he would drop his guard is the moment he saved his sister. He was planning that like Aizen was planning the day Ichigo was born. Crazy. I did not expect that. This was devastating, especially after a heartfelt moment. And I had to end the chapter here. That's why I'm calling it the end of the Stone Wars, because Tsukasa is dead. Well, as far as I know. He might still be alive. They could probably save him with the miracle fluid, but this was enough of a mouth dropper for me to stop. Theories: I don't think Tsukasa is going to be saved. I think Hyoga is going to now take over as the main antagonist, because if Tsukasa is saved, then he can take down Hyoga almost automatically. That also means Homura is not a part of the Kingdom of Science. She did love the cotton candy, but she's in love with Hyoga, and love overpowers food. Yo is definitely Team Hyoga for sure. I can see that because if Tsukasa has a change of heart now, Yo is a corrupt policeman. He's not going to be on their side. Yukio is definitely on our side. Nikki's definitely on our side. But what's going to happen now, now that Hyoga's taken down Tsukasa? I don't know, because we could barely take down Tsukasa, and Hyoga just killed him, and Hyoga was relevant to Tsukasa. Hyoga just couldn't kill Tsukasa on his own without him dropping his guard. So... And now Hyoga's probably going to control that army of stone people. So will the Stone Wars continue? Will there be a ceasefire? How are we going to escape out of the situation? I have no idea. I'm very excited to find out. Anyways, we're going to end the video here. I'll see you guys in the next one. I think next up will be Demon Slayer, and then we'll go from there. Anyways, guys, see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye. Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys would be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home, seeking vengeance, but instead faces the choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are 2. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado, the Legendary Conjuring Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these. But I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne, Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, fabled lovers, a cursed virgin's bite. If you go where monsters dance, red will reign over your house. Love be damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love Be Caged right after it. The ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.